What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Got the NFL playoffs coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow and going through Sunday. The NFL Divisional round playoffs, and I'm here to make my predictions for these upcoming games this weekend. The first game that kicks off the second round of the playoffs is Minnesota Vikings at the San Francisco Giants. These two teams are mirror images of each other. Very evenly matched game. Don't let the smooth taste fool you, and don't let the records fool you in this game. You know, San Francisco Giants, the San Francisco 49ers had a much better and much more consistent regular season, but these two teams are evenly matched, man. Minnesota is a team that's always had the talent to make a lot of noise in past playoffs, but for some reason, they haven't been able to get over the hump outside of the time that they had Case Keenum, and they was able to perform the Minnesota Miracle over the New Orleans Saints and get to the NFC Championship game, where they got humiliated actually against the Philadelphia Eagles. But this game here is going to be very tightly contested game. Both teams like to establish the run. Both teams like to set the offense off the run and then get the ball down the field to their playmakers. The 49ers bringing in Emmanuel Sanders in the middle of the season from the Denver Broncos was a hell of an acquisition. And he came in and made a seamlessly transition into the San Francisco offense. Their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, was a question mark going into this season, man. But ever since around about it's been about the midway point of the season, he seemed like the light switch or the light bulb went off in his head, and he seems like he's very comfortable in Mike Shanahan's offense, and he's putting up some solid and strong numbers in the offense, being that a lot of people don't like to use this word game manager, but being a very efficient game manager. But as far as this game goes, man, it's just gonna come down to health, man, and the way the playoff schedule broke down. You got Adam Thielen is having problems with his ankles. He got somebody stepped on his ankle wrong. He had to get stitches, so he's questionable. I would assume that he's going to play, but I don't think he's going to be 100%. And, the wide receivers is the one position where you need your wheels, and if your wheels are anywhere compromised, it could affect your overall play. So that's going to set up Diggs, man. Diggs going to have to be the guy that can make the plays and make up the difference if Thielen is not 100%. And they have Rudolph too also. But the whole focus of the Minnesota offense is that running game, man. The running game is what you're going to have to pay attention to, because the boy out of Florida State, Big 33, he's had a hell of a game against the New Orleans Saints, and he'll be looking to duplicate that. But when I look back at that last game against the Saints, man, he kind of fell off after the second half, man. The first half, he was running wild, but in the second half, New Orleans did a better job of containing him. I think the 49ers will look at that film and really zero in on how the Saints played the run game in the second half, and they'll try to duplicate that in a second-round game. So this is a game that's very highly contested, man. You got Kittles, the best tight end in the game. Minnesota has Rudolph, who's probably a top 10 tight end in the game. Very good tight end. His numbers have been down this year, but his overall productivity since he's been there in Minnesota has been there on a high level. You got the two, like I said, you got Sanders, and Minnesota has two strong receivers and really two number one receivers in Thielen and Diggs. Now, San Francisco, don't sleep on their other receivers outside of Samuel. They had a couple of their young receivers. Number 11, he's really came on strong at the end of the season, making a lot of big plays down the field, making a lot of yak yards after the catch. So he's really coming on strong, man. This is going to be a very good game. Both defenses are very strong. You got Buckner, the big number 99. The San Francisco 49ers have drafted very well during their drafts, and it's really paid dividends in the defensive line. That secondary can be picked on a little bit. As you saw, Russell Wilson kind of went off on that secondary in the second half of the last game of the season. Matt Ryan kind of picked that secondary apart. Drew Brees put up big numbers. With that being said, Kirk Cousins is going to have some opportunities to make some plays against that secondary, man. This is an evenly matched game. It can easily come down to turnover. It's so evenly matched. If San Francisco have more turnovers than Minnesota, will win this game. If Minnesota have more turnovers than San Francisco will win the game. It just can come down to that. Simple turnovers. But if both teams play at their optimum level, I'm going to give the 49ers a slight edge due to the fact that they're at home And Minnesota just a little bit banged up at the skill position with Thielen. And that running back, he's even though he ran well against New Orleans, he still got injured toward the end of the season. So I'm going to go with the more healthy team, the more rested team. I'm going to go with San Francisco 23-20 over Minnesota. The second game of the night, Tennessee at Baltimore. A great matchup. You got a team that squeaked into the playoffs at 9-7. It seemed like they found their mojo at the end of the season in the Tennessee Titans. They've got a hell of a running game. Derrick Henry, a guy that's a combination of Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson, man. He runs upright like Eric Dickerson, but he runs with the power of Earl Campbell. The guy right now is the best running back in the NFL, and he pretty much gashed the Patriots last week. But with that being said, they only put up, 14 points? So if he puts up similar numbers against Baltimore, they're going to have to put up way more points than 14 that they were able to do against New England Patriots. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, defensively, are very, very complete defense, man. They strong against the run. They can kind of load up the box, man, because they got two shutdown cornerbacks, man, Smith and Peters. So, and then they got Earl Thomas patrolling the safety, and he can play in the box sometime, or he can back up and play the pass. So he's a versatile safety. So they have a complete offense. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to stack the. They're not going to let do what New England did. New England actually didn't stack the box against Dwayne Here. They basically played six in the box, and they basically didn't want to give up the big plays to Tennessee. They thought if they would load the box up, they would open up things for A.J. Brown and Stan Humphries if he plays, and Davis. That'd open up things for that wide receiver. So Belichick opted to do what he did when he played the Buffalo Bills, when they had Thurman Thomas, when he was the defense coordinator for the Giants. They let Thurman run wild, and they shut down Andre Reed, Don Beebe, and James Laughlin. They're going to try – Baltimore's not going to do that. Martindale, he's going to try to shut down Dwayne here, and he's going to make the quarterback, Tannehill, beat them. And I don't think he's going to be able to beat them because A.J. Brown has come along real strong, especially at the end of the season. Davis has been a guy with a lot of potential since he's been drafted by the Titans. Seems like he's settling in at the number 2 wide receiver. He just is not a number 1. You got Stan Humphries, if he's healthy, is not great, but a very solid slot receiver. The tight ends are nothing to write home about. They don't really go to tight ends that much. Tannehill doesn't. He uses them a little bit over the middle of the field, but they basically looking to run the ball and set up big plays down the field for A.J. Brown. So I think the Titans will be able to slow down Dwayne Henry, make Tannehill beat him through the air, and they have the cornerbacks to negate that. And I just think Tennessee is just not going to be able to score enough points to ultimately beat Baltimore. I think they're going to end up falling short because I actually think their defense is going to play well. I think the defense is going to have a pretty good game plan against Jackson. My bad, against Jackson. Jackson is going to be the MVP without question for this year. But I think what the Titans are going to do is I think they're going to put more safeties out there. They're probably going to take a couple of their linebackers off the field, even though they have some very athletic linebackers. So they might play. Now I think about it, they might play their base defense because they do have athletic linebackers. You know, they have linebackers that are very athletic and are very sudden with their hits. And got those what you call fast twitch muscles. So they're very athletic. They're linebackers. They have Casey, one of the better defensive linemen on the defensive line. He'll be able to kind of slow down the run game. Now, Ingram is being out. Mark Ingram getting hurt with that calf muscle. They say he practiced a little bit Thursday. We'll see what happens today. From everything I'm hearing, I don't think he's going to play. But the way their offense is run, it really don't matter, man. It's like a plug-and-play type of offense where you can put anybody in there next to, not even say anybody, but a solid NFL caliber running back next to Jackson, and then he'll be able to thrive at a high level. So I think they'll put Gus Edwards in there, and I think it won't be hardly any kind of type of drop-off because the defense is going to be so focused on Jackson that's going to open up things for Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards had a good game the last game against the Pittsburgh Steelers when the Steelers were fighting for a playoff spot. So he's very capable. So they won't miss a beat with Edwards in there. And I just think ultimately Jackson will make a few plays that with him just being the best athlete on the field, make a few plays running with his legs and with his arms. I think you can pick apart the Tennessee Titans secondary, which is their weakest link on the defense. They've got some underrated receivers, Andrews. They've got Hollywood Brown. They've got some solid tight ends. And I think Jackson will be able to make enough plays in the passing game and then make enough plays with his legs that they'll be able to pull out a hard-fought, very physical game, 20-16 over the Tennessee Titans. Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Deshaun Watson going against Patrick Mahomes. This should be an epic matchup. Earlier this year, Week 6, the Houston Texans defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 31-24, controlled the time of possession game, had the ball for 40 minutes on offense, and they were able to just wear down the Kansas City Chiefs defense and run the clock out as Carlos Hyde had a big game. Duke Johnson had a good game. Fuller, their wide receiver, had some drops that really hurt them in that game. They could have really won that game a little bit more decisively, but he had some drops. DeAndre Hopkins came alive in the second half, made a lot of key third and long plays, or made a lot of third down conversions with him and Deshaun Watson to keep the drive alive and keep Mahomes them on the sideline. And they was just able to wear down there. They had a key turnover with Mahomes, a strip sack, and they was able to recover by the linebacker McKinney. And they was able to cash that in, and they just after a slow start and after being down, I think 17-3 in the first half, as Mahomes hit a big play with Tyreek Hill, who caught a ball with two Texas defenders draped all over him. They made a couple of plays there in the first half to go up 17-3. But after Romeo and Cornell made the adjustment at halftime, they was able to stifle Mahomes in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Now, Mahomes was kind of compromising that fight. In that game, he was not all the way healthy, as he had a leg injury maybe a couple of games before that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So he wasn't all the way back 100% from that. He still had lingering effects from that, so he was not 100%. I think he's going to be more healthy for this game here Sunday, man. It's going to be a good game, man. The Texas secondary has had its issues, man. It's very suspect. But they are going to get one of their starting cornerbacks back that they didn't have last game. That's Jonathan Joseph. He'll be back. So you put him with Brandon Roby. That'll be their starting corners. They've got Conley, Hargraves coming in when they go to nickel. Their safety is out. Their starting safety is out for the season in Gibson. They've got a guy there. He got banged up in the Buffalo game. So they got the veteran Adams, 39-year-old safety, that's there, that he'll probably be seeing some snaps too, or maybe a whole lot of snaps, depending on if Adai is not able to play. So that secondary is going to be a problem, man, but they're going to need to get pressure with J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless on pressure, and DJ Reed is going to be real key as far as putting pressure up the middle, because even with the pressure between Watt on the edge and Whitney on the edge, Mahomes can step up and buy time and still hit big plays down the field with Hill and Watkins. Now, that's another thing. Wide receiver Sammy Watkins was not at that game. He's going to be at this game, so it'll be interesting to see what happens and what transpires. But they're going to be a little bit more healthy as far as wide receivers go. I think this is going to be not a high-scoring game, but I think it will be point score. A lot of people thinking this game could be up in the 30s. I don't think it's going to be that high. I think both defenses, since they played early in the season, going to be much more familiar with each other. Romeo Cornell is very familiar with Andy Reid coach offense. Andy Reid is very familiar with Romeo Cornell coach defense. Bill O'Brien has, very familiar with the Kansas City Chiefs defense as he's played them early in the season. Now, the defense is a little bit different than when they played Kansas City in the playoffs. Don Sutton, the defensive coordinator, has been relieved of his duties. They've got the defensive coordinator that coached the New York Giants when they upset the undefeated New England Patriots 17-14, led by Robert Strahan. So he's a well-known and well-equipped defensive coordinator. So it should be a good game, man, a good solid game. I think it's going to be some point score, but not a big shootout. I like the Houston Texans 27-23. I think Deshaun Watson leads the Texans on a drive inside 3 minutes and takes them down there for a game-winning score, and they win it 27-23 on a Deshaun Watson rushing touchdown. That's what I got in that game. Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be a good one, too. Seattle Seahawks, man, they're just so banged up, man, on the offensive line, man, real banged up. Dwayne Brown dealing with injuries. I don't know if he's going to play. They've got other injuries on the O-line, and that's not what you want to be doing. That's not the situation you want to be in going into Green Bay, man. Green Bay's got two of the best pass rushers in the game right now in the Smith brothers. I think they're going to wreak havoc on the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. I think Russell Wilson's not going to have enough time to throw. I think the running game, which they lean on, is not what it was since the injuries to Carson and Crosshair and Penny, losing those guys. They got beast mode back, but he's still just to be with his third game back. He's been out the league for a year and a half. He's 33. I don't think he'll be a big factor outside of in the red zone at goal line. I don't think he's going to be a big factor. The other little young running back, 25, they'll be able to get some plays with him on the outside. He seems like he runs well on the outside, not inside. So I think he'll have some runs and some productive runs on the outside, man. But for the most part, I think Seattle offense is going to struggle because the offensive line is just not going to be able to deal with the Smith brothers. I think that's going to be the main problem with Seattle. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points to beat Green Bay. As far as on the offense, Aaron Rodgers is going to have. I don't think he's going to have his way with Seattle Seahawks defense either. Seattle's going to get after them, man. They've got Clowney. They've got some big boys up front on the D-line that I think that's going to be able to control Aaron Jones. You got one guy on the outside you really got to worry about in Devontae Adams. They're going to, Pete Carroll's probably going to double him with a safety over the top, take him away and make Aaron Rodgers beat them with the number 2 and number 3 receivers, which are unproven and haven't put up big numbers so far this season. So I think Green Bay's going to have a hard time scoring and putting up consistent offense too, man. I just think this is going to be a defensive game. I think defense is going to dominate for both sides of the ball, but I just think Green Bay just a little bit more healthier on the offensive line. I think they'll be able to hit some plays with Aaron Jones, maybe hit him out there and use him as a wide receiver, get him matched up on the Seattle Seahawks linebackers, Wagner and those guys. I think they'll be able to make some plays like that with him hitting them in the flat and putting them out on the routes and maybe take advantage of the linebackers in coverage. I think they'll be able to hit some plays like that. And then I think they'll be able to maybe design some where they can get Devontae Adams matched up one-on-one, and they'll be able to hit a couple of plays there to put the offense in a favorable position. So I got Green Bay winning that game 17-13 in a defensive struggle and a hard-hitting matchup in a game that's going to be played in bitter cold in Lambeau Field on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. So that's my prediction here. I got San Francisco 23-20. I got San Francisco 23-20 over Minnesota. I got Baltimore 20-16 over Tennessee. I got Houston in the only road team win this weekend, 27-23 over Kansas City. And I got the Green Bay Packers beating Seattle 17-13 in a defensive battle. That's my opinion, man. Enjoy the games this weekend, man. Leave your comments in the comment section who you think going to win these games, your prediction, and we'll see what happens with the games this weekend. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.